The restaurant owner would give migrant workers free lunches every day, and he kept this up for a full 3 years. But on this day, just because his daughter was getting married, he closed the shop and took 3 days off. He never expected that when he reopened, what he got in return was criticism from a migrant worker, accusing the owner of not informing them in advance about his daughter's wedding, which caused him to go without lunch for 3 whole days. He angrily scolded the owner, saying he was acting inhumanely and that making some money had made him look down on migrant workers. Hearing this instantly made the owner furious. He explained that he had already posted a notice of closure at the door, but the man still refused to let it go after hearing this, saying bluntly that the owner's daughter's wedding had nothing to do with them, and he didn't even invite them to the banquet. As he spoke, he also insulted the owner. The owner never imagined that the people he once helped would turn out like this. It turned out that 3 years ago, the owner saw the man squatting at his shop's entrance in the dead of winter, eating bread, and kindly invited him inside, even giving him a free lunch. When he learned that there were many migrant workers like this man who couldn't afford food, the owner immediately promised to provide them with free lunch every day. At first, the migrant workers were very grateful to the owner, but as time passed, they stopped respecting him, not only ignoring his kindness, but even stealing things from the shop. Although the owner was angry when he saw this, he didn't stop them, taking it as simply doing a good deed, but he never thought that his kindness would be repaid by the man pushing his limits. This made the owner completely disappointed in him. Soon, the sound of their argument drew the attention of passers-by. Seeing this, the man immediately began twisting the truth, slandering the owner in front of everyone, claiming that although the owner had promised to provide free lunch every day, he was now breaking his word, closing for several days without caring if the workers starved, and even blaming the workers' hardship on the owner, demanding that he apologize to him. The owner was enraged upon hearing this, saying bluntly that the man was distorting the facts. He had kindly given them free lunches, yet in return, he got ingratitude. Seeing that the man still wouldn't let go, the owner, in order not to affect his business, had no choice but to compromise and ask what the man really wanted. Unexpectedly, right after he said this, the man stood up and demanded the owner compensate them for 3 days' worth of lunches, 30 people in total, amounting to $1,000. Only then did the owner realize the man's true intention. He mocked him, saying that if he wanted that much money, why not just rob a bank? It was only then that the onlookers understood what was going on. They hadn't expected the owner's kindness to be trampled like this by the man, and they immediately rebuked him for having the nerve to ask for money. They said he was truly insatiable. Even in poverty, one should have dignity, and not use one's status as part of a disadvantaged group to bully others. Seeing that no one was siding with him, the man had no choice but to leave after spitting out some harsh words. Unexpectedly, just after the man left, several other migrant workers came into the shop. Before the owner could explain why he had been closed, they began accusing him, even forcing him to quickly serve food, saying they still had work to do. But after eating, they still stole from the shop as usual. This time, the owner didn't give in. He not only demanded payment from them, but also criticized them, saying this was a business, not a free store. Seeing their rude behavior being called out, they all threw down the items and accused the owner of being stingy, even cursing him to die a bad death. It was only then that the owner saw their true colors. He immediately decided to stop offering free lunches and tore down the sign at the entrance. Unexpectedly, the next day, the man who had caused trouble before came with his group to eat. Having no choice, the owner served them food, but when the group, unaware of the change, finished eating and was about to leave, the owner came over, reminding the man to come and pay the bill, stating bluntly that from now on, his restaurant would no longer offer free lunches. The man thought the owner was doing this on purpose, deliberately tearing down the free lunch poster without notifying anyone, with the sole aim of tricking everyone out of their money. This statement won the support of the group. But the owner was running his business reasonably and legally. He had no obligation to inform anyone. It was these migrant workers who were eating without paying, and that was illegal. Seeing that the owner insisted on asking for payment, the man shamelessly claimed that the only reason the owner's business was doing so well was entirely because of them. If they didn't come to eat every day, could the owner have made so much money? Not only did he refuse to accept the cancellation of free lunches, he even demanded that the lunch standard be upgraded, forcing the owner to implement it immediately. The reason the man was acting so aggressively was because he had just been promoted to project manager, which gave him the courage to abuse his power everywhere. But the owner wasn't about to indulge him. He directly rejected the man's proposal, and even publicly stated that all the money he earned came from his own labor and had nothing to do with the man. Hearing this, one of the subordinates advised the man to drop it, but the man believed that all this was the owner's obligation. Since he had started providing free lunches 3 years ago, he had to continue being the good guy to the end and keep providing free lunches to everyone. Seeing the group so greedy and insatiable, the owner had no choice but to reveal that the company gave them $100 in meal allowance every day, yet they weren't even willing to spend $10 of it. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. The owner then revealed that his son-in-law was the president of their company, but the group all laughed, thinking the owner was bluffing. Little did they know, everything he said was true. His son-in-law really was the president, and even the construction site they worked at belonged to his son-in-law's business. Yet the man still thought the owner was trying to scare him, and still refused to pay for the meal. Fearing they might cause trouble, the owner called his son-in-law to come handle the situation. But the next second, the man slapped the phone out of his hand, and even joined with the others to bully the owner. Helpless, the owner had no choice but to use his son-in-law's status to threaten them. But they believed the owner wasn't destined for wealth, and that a president would never marry his daughter. As they spoke, they insulted the owner's entire family. But what they didn't know was that every word was heard by the president on the other end of the phone. Even so, they still didn't care, and even wanted to give the owner a beating.